Good evening, Cycle Oregon. How we doing? All right. It is great to see everybody tonight. Nice weather to stand in line for, right? No rain, no wind, no snow. So I was talking to a buddy of mine who's the director for RAGBRAI this morning, and it's 60 below wind chill there. Yeah. I said, how was your turnout? And he said, well, we went this weekend, there's nothing for anybody to do because it was so cold, so they all came to the kickoff. So I had to tell him it was 53 and sunny here, and he wasn't really happy to see that. But my name is Steve Schultz. I'm honored to be the executive director of Cycle Oregon and to welcome you to Cycle Oregon's 2019 kickoff party. So thank you. Yeah, thank you. So I'd like to take just a few minutes to thank our champion sponsors. They are with us all year long, making sure that we keep the wheels rolling. Speaking of wheels rolling, how about the bike gallery? Right? Kelly and his crew have been with us from the get-go, and we really couldn't do without them, so thank you, Kelly. Travel Oregon, a great partner of ours. So Todd Scott and the crew helping us to promote Oregon through the bicycle. We had a new sponsor come on as a champion last year. Anybody have the grilled cheese sandwiches on Weekender? Nice, huh? Franz has come on to be a sponsor for us, a great local company. And then this year we have a new sponsor. So we've been working on trying to develop a relationship with these guys for a long time, and Kyle and his team says, you're the best cycling event in the state and in the region, and we need to be a part of that. So Showers Pass has come on as a champion sponsor. Great. So I'd also like to thank the Cycle Oregon team. The folks that I work with every day is a great bunch of folks. They are totally dedicated and passionate about what we do and putting on great events for you guys. I'd like to thank my board of directors who help set our vision and make sure they keep me in line all year long, that we're moving forward. The communities throughout the state that we travel through, those guys are there to host us, and they put a lot of work into this all year long. So we start working with communities, particularly for the Classic, excuse me, in November of last year. So some of these guys already are very privy to what we're doing tonight. And the volunteers that are out there to help us, they help you guys every day on the route. So we could not do it without them. And most importantly, you guys, the riders. I mean, you are our community, you know, and these are your rides. So we strive every year to make the next year's event better than the last. We survey you guys after the events, not just so we can check a box and say, great, we surveyed, but we really do care about what you guys think about these rides. And we're committed to making them about you. You're the one out there doing the work for us as a community. So we're simply here to provide you the best experience that we can and to introduce you to some of the greatest communities and places the state has to offer. Even if you've lived in Oregon your whole life, you'll discover something new with Cycle Oregon. It's an unparalleled way to experience authentic Oregon by riding your bike through that. It is, right? It is. So our 2019 lineup includes some unique rides that will have you fall in love again with Oregon and all its splendor and its really welcoming communities. So we are so excited about this year and to have you guys share these experiences with us. So we are pumped. So we've been listening. We've been taking that survey stuff and trying to work out what we can. You know, some things are good in theory, but free beer at every rest stop does not work in the end. I don't have that many SAGs. John can't handle his team and move all you. But we're listening. So for Joyride, we've taken your feedback and we put together an event that you want. Quieter roads, different options, that same awesome local fare, and keeping you face-to-face with some of the small communities. For gravel, which was a rockin' event, yes, it was, thank you. We're listening, so route surface options, amenities, location, timing, and keeping that small, intimate vibe that we love so much. For classic, woo-hoo, yeah, right? Types of roads, lengths of the days, options, where you want to go, and what community means to you. We'll continue to incorporate all of these pieces into these events. So, as we develop future routes, classic is a bit of an undertaking, but we are on the on-ramp with these things. And Weekender, right? An Oregon staple since 2004. So this has been home to every age and ability, providing amenities, activities for young and old. And we love this event, and we want to make it better for you guys. So as we announced earlier this month, we're pausing Weekender for just this year. Over the last number of years, attendance on the Weekender has dropped every year. And you guys have given us some great feedback on what things you would like to see in that event, and we're taking that seriously. So we want to incorporate some of those great ideas, strengthen the event from all angles, and then position it for the next decade. So the focus on producing an inclusive event for all levels of cyclists is not going to change, because that is one of the finest pieces of that event, and we're very proud of that. So we look forward to bringing Weekender back. So it's going to be rocking when it does, and we're listening to some of those suggestions. So we're also listening to the communities. So to not only put on the best routes that we can for you and show you the best small town hospitality there's out there, but to get you embedded even deeper into those communities. To show you what makes them tick, what's special about them, about where they live and what they do. To spend some time with them, whether that's sharing a beer at a local watering hole or helping them out with a volunteer project while we're in the community. We want to connect more with them and find that commonality. Cycle Oregon is a lot more than just some amazing bike rides, although I'll take that part. Embedded in our DNA is to become part of the fabric of Oregon's rural communities. We do that by enlisting and hiring help from all the local communities to help us put on the events, from sourcing food from the local farmers to buying products from the local businesses, showcasing some of the wines, beers, spirits, and other drinks from that region, by stopping by the businesses while we're there and dropping some money into those towns, being appreciative guests, and really being genuinely interested in what's going on. There's some amazing conversations that I overhear on our events, and it's just stellar to be part of that. And if we're lucky, we can support them with some grants through the Cycle Oregon Fund. This entire Cycle Oregon family, from the communities to you all to the volunteers, is so very important to us. And we love building community through cycling with you. And we're honored that you guys come along and do this, because this all would not happen without you. So thank you very much for that. So, when you all arrived, you got a card. So the first 500 of you in the door got a card that has a special URL on it that allows you to register early tonight for the Classic. Everybody after that first 500 also received a card, and on those cards, there's a raffle number at the bottom. So at the end of the presentation, we're going to be raffling some things off, so make sure you have that card and have that number. Now, one of you that holds one of the cards in the first 500 is going on the Classic for free. You just don't know that yet, right? Yeah. Actually, I kept the winning one in my back pocket. But when you log in with that URL, you will know right away whether you are going for free or you're going to help us support rural Oregon with your money. All right? Now, we know not everybody can be here tonight, like in Iowa. So for those of you at home, one of you is actually going to go for free as well. So I will tell you how that works at the end of the presentation. So you must watch the presentation in order to find out if you go. So tonight we finally get to reveal your 2019 Cycle Oregon Adventures. right? But before we do that, we wanted to fill you in on all the good work that we were able to accomplish with all your help this year. So I'd like to bring out one of our board members, Ms. Carmen Four, and she is going to update you guys on what we were able to do through our grants program. Carmen?
Hey. Hello. It's so great to see all of you here, and for those of you online as well who could make it with us in person today. I remember the first time I heard about Cycle Oregon, and I just thought, God, what a good idea. You know, what a bunch of folks meet on one corner of the state or on one side, and we're going to bike all the way to the other side of the state in 7 days. And I just thought that was spectacular. A few years later, a couple friends of mine contacted me and said, hey, do you want to go on a Cycle Oregon ride? And I was like, absolutely, this is great. So I scraped up a bunch of money together to pay for the ticket. It was the 2003 Hell's Canyon ride, for any of you who were on that particular, oh, giggles, that's right. It's one for the record books. And I had to borrow a tent, I borrowed a sleeping bag, I even had to borrow the canvas bag to haul my stuff around. So I was really like on the edge of making it, but we made it. And we really didn't know what to expect. We just, in our minds, saw being on the road, and that was about it. And when we got to the actual event itself, our minds were blown away. It was a caravan of colorful bike gypsies all over the place, with tents everywhere, and folks wearing strange crustaceous hats, and I saw one out there today. And people in like, people in amazing, team kits. And we just got to enjoy great bands and travel through towns, and even at the rest stops there were these really amazing bands. The food was fantastic, everyone was really great. Some folks had just the most amazing bicycles that blew my mind away, and others were on things like I didn't know how they were doing it. I remember one guy was kind of on a sit-up bicycle, and I think the whole time he wore like linen shorts, and I swear to you, he did almost the entire ride wearing espadrilles. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. The other thing that we actually really loved was the announcements at the end of the night. And so many of you remember, a lot of folks can, and I can see you over there, would get up and give a joke, but would give us a safety instructions for the day. And Jay would get up and talk about the importance of maintaining our bicycles and really encouraging us to use the bike gallery so we'd be safe. And then Jerry would get up and give just good instructions for us whole band of gypsies on how we were going to move this caravan from one town to the next. And they were really encouraging us to be good. Be a good community, be good neighbors, be good Oregonians, and be good, hosts to the people who are visiting from other places. But I'll tell you where I really got hooked on that particular ride. We were biking into one small town, and I got off my bike to get a snack, which I'm certain was something like a boiled egg and red vines, which I just love. And I'm chatting with this just fabulous woman, and she says, I love it when Cycle Oregon comes around. I'm like, well, why is that? And she says, you see that building over there? I said, yeah. She said, the last time you all came around, we were able to apply for a grant. And that grant allowed us to ultimately build that community center over there. That just blew me away, and it got me really committed to the mission of Cycle Oregon. So in addition to being good, when we participate in Cycle Oregon, we get to do some good. One of the great things we get to do is we really do make an economic impact to communities across Oregon. Cycle Oregon has a direct economic benefit of $1.7 million per year in Oregon communities. And over the life of Cycle Oregon, through its fund, it's been able to fund over 300 grants to communities all across Oregon to the tune of about $2.2 million. This year, the board was able to award $125,000 to grants all across rural communities in Oregon. And let me tell you, they're grants that really meet communities where they live. They're fantastic grants that speak to health, speak to community wellness, and speak to arts and culture. And I want to just give you a few of those so you know where those proceeds are going. The first community I want to share with you today is La Grande, and they have a fabulous farmers market there. And they asked, could we make a donation to their Double Up Food Bucks project? And this is a program for those who have SNAP benefits. They can go to the farmers market, they can get some extra tickets, and with those tickets, they're able to purchase greater quantities of fresh fruits and vegetables and really help low-income people ensure that they get access to healthy food. The other thing that's really great about this particular program and why we liked it is because it also keeps that money in that local community and really supports local growers right there in the La Grande area. Another project we were able to donate some money toward this year, there we go, is to the Elgin Opera House. And if any of you have been to Elgin and you've been by that opera house, you know what a spectacular treasure this is. It really is extraordinary. And we were able to donate some funds for the Growth Youth Actors Program. So the funds are going to go directly to help support the music and the arts and the culture for those young people to get to perform. And additionally, it really is a great cultural asset for people in the region so they get to enjoy in live theater and live arts. The next community where we were able to make a donation was Crescent. Now, I'm certain for all of you, and like me, I've traveled all around Oregon, and I really know how important sports can be as a community gathering place and a community coming together. In Elgin, they have on their field, they have some homemade bleachers, and they're really not in great shape, and it's really uncertain how safe they are. The grant we were able to provide them is going to allow them to be able to purchase metal bleachers, do some paintings, improve a dugout, help improve some picnic benches, and really make it a nice quality place for the community to come together, enjoy some sports, and spend some time cohesively in that facility. Another grant we were able to give this year is to Cresswell, and this really is neat. So this is to help support and replace the school porch, and I think this really is more than just about a porch. So this is their old schoolhouse. It was built in 1874. It originally was 2 stories, but the second story at one point burned, and they were actually able to salvage the building and keep it to 1 story. And the building has had multiple purposes through the life of Cresswell. It's been a school. It served as a church later on. It was a civic engagement hall at one point, and for a long time it served as the community's library. But recently, the building hasn't had a lot of things going for it, and the city council felt that they were going to have to surplus the building. Local community folks came together and asked the city, said, please, would you just allow us to find some time to raise the funds? This really is key to the heritage of our community, and we'd like to see if we can raise funds to preserve it. In this particular instance, Cycle Oregon is going in with the first donation to help support this facility, and we really hope that more contributions will be forthcoming to support this heritage building. Finally, I want to tell you about a project with the Wallowa Band of the Nez Perce. We're able to provide some funds to help improve their interpretive center and to improve accessibility. Out there, if you've been to their facility, they have a really special Columbia River Platte-style longhouse and a powwow dance center. And what they really want to do is a combination of really great things. They want to improve the parking and build some concrete sidewalks. They want to build some shade trees and improve some camping areas on their 320-acre piece of property. And they also want to do some native plantings. But as importantly, they really want to improve the accessibility into the powwow dance hall so people who are differently abled can come and enjoy the dance hall, and they really hope that through this effort they'll see more elders in their tribe be able to access and be able to use the powwow dance hall themselves. So for me, Cycle Oregon is absolutely fantastic. It really does encourage us to be good neighbors, to be good Oregonians, to be good. But through the ticket that you purchase to go on this ride, you also get to know you're doing some good. And that's truly extraordinary, and it's a really great gift. Cycle Oregon is a really opportunity for each of us as individuals and all of us as a community to make a good difference. I really look forward to this year's ride and riding with those of you who've ridden in the past, and I'm really excited as well for those of you if this is your first time riding on Cycle Oregon. It's an absolute blast. Cycle Oregon is an Oregon treasure, and we just want to keep it going and really look forward to this year in 2019. Thank you very much, and thank you for your support.
Thank you, Carmen. Good stuff. Yeah, very good stuff that we're able to do, so thank you guys for your support. Oregon offers some of the most breathtakingly beautiful scenery to ride your bike in, and it is the only state with an official Scenic Bike Way, one of our other programs that we work with. So Cycle Oregon is proud to be the co-founder of the Scenic Bike Ways, not only by providing capital to get the program started, but the vast knowledge that we have gleaned from you guys on how to put on a great ride, what the best routes are, and what they should do. So to date, there are 17 designated bikeways, and they are now managed by Oregon State Parks. Thank you, State Parks, for managing the bikeway program. It's a lot to do. These are some of the state's best road rides through some of only an Oregon kind of beauty. I mean, you'll ride along wide open highways, you'll go past geological wonders, You'll go on covered bridges. You'll go next to roaring rivers and over snow-peaked mountains and through some charming communities. So all the routes are tested and signed and mapped, and they range from family-friendly to totally remote and challenging. So there's something for everybody out there. We get to ride on a number of those this year, and we are pretty pumped about that. There's some beautiful roads out there. So the Scenic Bike Way is also an economic engine with an estimated $12.4 million benefit every year from riding your bike in these rural scenic bikeways. So this year, the Scenic Bikeways program celebrates its 10th anniversary. So the first 10 years were about building the bikeways, getting them designated. The next 10 is going to be about providing more amenities around the bikeways. We'll get some more routes in there, but also promoting this domestically and internationally. Now, we'll be celebrating this later on in the year, so we will let you guys know what the festivities are, but we hope you can join us for that. So another project that we are working hard on, which you guys all, I think, know a little bit about, is the Salmonberry Trail, right? Right? Yeah, an 86-mile multi-use, non-motorized path connecting the valley to the coast. So to date, nearly $1.4 million has been raised to create momentum for the Salmonberry Trail. This Oregon community, between private donations and Cycle Oregon grants, has donated over $250,000 to this project. So thank you guys, because that is rocking. So to grow with this evolving momentum in this project, some exciting things are happening. So they are currently in the formation of the Salmonberry Trail Foundation. So the foundation will take over from the good work that the Tillamook Forest Heritage Trust has done and work on developing more partnerships. So the foundation will work with the planning side of things. So the Salmonberry Trail Intergovernmental Agency, say that fast after 3 beers, or STIA, which is what Cycle Oregon was a part of at the very beginning. They are working with the foundation on developing some stronger networks, building some different relationships, and working from the planning to eventually the construction of trail pieces. Now, we were fortunate enough to collaborate with the Salmonberry Trail on our gravel event last October, and they gave folks a chance to walk on the Reliance Trestle, which is going to be part of the trail, which was awesome. So a few milestones I want to keep you up to date on real quickly. So STIA signed a 99-year lease with the Port of Tillamook Bay, rail banking the railway, which means we are good to go to start making this trail happen. Huge. That's a huge piece to accomplish. So well done, STIA, on that. The trail is in 4 segments. It's the coastal and the valley segment have already been planned, so we have blueprints for that to kind of move to the next level. While we're working on those pieces, the river and the canyon sections, which are in the middle, a little bit trickier to navigate, we'll be working on the planning for those pieces too. But the first sections of the trail are on the horizon. So the city of Tillamook has already built 1 mile of their crosstown connection multi-use path, which will be on the coastal far side of the trail. And then in collaboration with the Washington County Visitors Association and OPRD, a catalyst loop is going to happen. So this loop is going to start from the Manning Trailhead, which is on the Banks-Vernonia Trail outside of Banks. It is going to go 3.5 miles out on the new Salmonberry Trail, and then we'll build a 1-mile connector that will then link that to the Banks-Vernonia Trail. So you'll be able to do a 9-mile loop on both the Salmonberry and the Banks-Vernonia Trail, leaving from the Manning Trailhead. So the Manning Trailhead right now, the updates are already being made on it, so that should be done by the spring, and if everything works, we will be turning dirt at the end of the year on the Salmonberry Trail, and that is exciting. So from founding to partnering to supporting, these projects are one of the reasons we ride, other than we love to ride our bikes, and this is a kick-ass state to do it in. But it continues to amaze me what can be accomplished when we're all pedaling in the same direction. Over the history of Cycle Oregon, you guys have made a huge impact in the communities of Oregon. From keeping heat on in the local Grange to putting lights up in the ball field so that parents can watch their kids play sports after work as opposed to missing their games after school, to helping preserve and protect some of the natural wonders and history that are in Oregon. And you've done all this by riding with us. I'm still just amazed at what a silly bike ride can do. But you've heard us talk about this in the past, but we wanted you to hear it from them, how genuinely appreciative they are of what you've been able to accomplish. So we've collected a few stories that we want to share with you, and I'm going to share a few of those with you tonight. I'm good. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. This is how we're building community. Let's take a look.
The one thing with Pine Valley is it's such a quieter and slower lifestyle. You have the timber in the mountains in the north part of the valley, and you have the open country in the south part. But I think the main thing here is the solitude and the hunting and the fishing. We got it right out our back door. This is a gathering place and people like to get together. Mainly it is riding horses, roping, and different events we have at the fairgrounds. And it's open to everybody. We put it in horse pens at the pavilion, so it's worked out better for the people that don't have property and still got horses, that they got a place to put the horses. This is a good place to train them to where when they get out in the hills, they can work their cattle. In the winter of 2017, we had so much snow and we knew there was a problem, so they started shoveling off buildings, and it, just the way it happened, by the time they got to the exhibit hall, it caved in. People was very happy that Cycle Oregon stepped up to help the Fair Association.
So, who was in Halfway last year with us? Nice, great community, huh? Yeah, so we were super happy that we can help partner with those guys. You know, throughout Oregon, a number of counties are starting to understand the economics of outdoor recreation and tourism, in our case, bicycle tourism. When historically, the bike was the last thing they wanted to see on their roads, right? I'm sure no one's experienced that in any kind of rural community setting. They're now beginning to understand what it can do for their communities. An example of the Pine Valley Fairgrounds is just one of those examples. That it doesn't have to be a car versus bike or an us versus them, but that we can coexist together and actually benefit each other. One of the counties that we're fortunate enough to visit this year on one of our events is actually taking this to the next level. They're promoting their county through the bicycle. So let's see what kind of change is happening here. So, bike, beer, wine, bacon sizzling. I mean, who doesn't want to go to Polk County now, right? So, we are headed to Polk County. Yep, to ride some of the back roads, sample some of the bounty of the county, and embed ourselves into small town hospitality. So ladies, we are taking Joyride to the riverfront community of Independence. I like that. This year we'll ride bikes where small town nice is everywhere you go. So the charming community of Independence will host our one-day celebration of women and bikes. We'll set up on the banks of the Willamette River in Riverview Park, which is right in the heart of Independence. We'll ride amongst the scenic rolling hills, past orchards, vineyards, and the wide open farmlands of Washington County. Sorry, Polk County. Yeah. You know, just count them, and then whoever figures out how many I screwed up, then you win a prize too. What I wanted to say was the Central Willamette Valley, and anyway. So we'll pause at historic covered bridges and sample some of the local wares. We will have our usual short, medium, and long routes for riders of all levels, but this year we're throwing in a little twist. For those of you who would like some options, we'll be riding some gravel roads on the medium and long route. Gravel's fun, trust me. And when we've had our fill of pedaling, we will party. Delicious, locally sourced food, libations, and vendors from Polk County and beyond will be with us all afternoon, accompanied by live music to help us celebrate the day. All levels of cyclists are welcome. We have, as I said, a few routes to choose from. We have a short, a medium, and a medium with gravel, a long with gravel. So from about 18 miles to 63, 64 miles. And you get to wear a little bit of bling. Some Joyride bling is always fun to wear while you're riding. So, join us for a big-time Cycle Oregon experience, served up with a whole bunch of small-town hospitality. It is going to be kicking. So the folks in Independence have told us that this will be the best Cycle Oregon event in the history of Cycle Oregon. So I like that. That's good help. That's good help. So we have a few more stories I wanted to go over tonight. So, you know, being able to do stuff in halfway with the fairgrounds is one of the things we've been able to help with. Carmen mentioned some stuff earlier about some smaller grants, and there's some other big pieces and big grants that we've been able to help with. So let's take a look at one of those right now.
There's been a big shift in Eastern Oregon in the basis of our economies. We have historically been a natural resource economy, strong in forestry and agriculture, always with a tourism presence, but really dominated by forestry and farming. Concerned as a community about how do we maintain the integrity of this place that private landowners have maintained for over 100 years and the Nez Perce before that. How do we protect it from development and maintain the values that this community has held dear? The values of an open working landscape, a place that maintains the beauty and cultural values. The Wallowa Lake Moraines Partnership is working to preserve the moraines, that we can enjoy it as an important cultural and scenic place and a place of recreation and retreat, but also continue to manage the grasslands and the forests for productive use. The investment from Cycle Oregon to support this effort is appreciated by people up and down the valley across the county, because that balance of natural resources, local businesses, and recreation is going to be the key to our future in the 21st century.
Great. So what if we just did a ride and we set up at Wallowa Lake State Park for like 5 days and just rode all over out there? Would that work? I think we might just do that. Not just because it might be easier for us, but because it would be so fun. So, gravel is back. Yeah. Our inaugural ride was so much fun, we just had to keep doing this event. So we took in your feedback and have put together one fantastic weekend full of good times, gravel grinding, limited number of participants, and most importantly, free beer. So this year we're setting up camp in one of Oregon's great rural communities, and we could not be more stoked for that. We are setting up this year's gravel in Doofer. What can Doofer do for you? Right? So instead of the deep forest, we're going to be riding in the stunning landscape of high, lonesome prairie and forested foothills. We'll camp in Doofer City Park as opposed to deep in the forest, but we still hope to have that community bonfire to gather around and recreate that really great chill vibe that everybody had. And this year, we get to get close and personal with folks from that community, which we love very much. Last year, this area was hit really hard by fires, wiping out homes and thousands of acres of ranch land. So we'll be riding through some of the rebirth of this landscape, past history that was somehow spared from this inferno, and hopefully dropping a little money along the way as we're there. Throughout the weekend, we'll have a combination of gravel and paved routes with wide open views of Mount Hood and Mount St. Helens and Mount Adams about everywhere you turn. Day one takes us into the foothills leading up to Mount Hood, through miles of high grasslands as we head into the forest. On day two, plateaus and rolling wheat fields will set up the stage for spectacular panoramas about every corner. So we'll again have options for the days. So day one, we'll have a long route, which is about 65 miles, and a short, which is about 32. They're a mix of gravel and road. And on day two, 63 miles and 33 miles. Again, a mixture of gravel and road. Of course, we'll have a kickin' jersey. So we'll have our gravel jersey to wear while we're out there. So it's going to be killer. Has anybody ridden out by Doofer? Dude, it's dynamite. Like dynamite. So come join us for community, killer outs, kicking bands, and a rockin' good time. This we call the right kind of grind, right? So last year on the Classic, we were blessed with a community involvement piece that blew us away. And we were so blessed to actually be there and be able to see that. So we were fortunate enough to capture some of that, and we want to tell you one more story tonight. So let's look at this one.
this theater near me has been life-changing because in rural Oregon, towns are very separated, so you don't get to meet a lot of people from other towns. And LeGrand doesn't have that many opportunities to go for theater or to sing. I want to be on Broadway, and that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. The Opera House just brings people together, and they do what they love with people who make them feel like they can do anything.
Sweet. So who went to that last year? Was that like world class? Not what you expect in Elgin, Oregon. So as Carmen mentioned earlier, we were happy to be able to give another grant to the Friends of the Opera to keep that program going. Okay, so thanks for coming. It's been great. Appreciate you guys showing up. All right, one more, the classic. So Oregon is a stunningly diverse place when it comes to geology, right? I mean, where else could you chart a few 100-mile course that encompasses 3 of the most beautiful wild and scenic rivers in the country, a stoic mountain range studded with high alpine lakes, and a crowning jewel of sapphire blue water? Just saying, it's pretty incredible. And this year's Classic has all of that, which makes it an extremely unique opportunity. Some might say a ride 7,700 years in the making. So, it's time to ride the extraordinary. Let's see where you'll be on September 7th. So, the starting community is surrounded by Willamette National Forest and the Cascades. It has been a railroad boomtown, a lumberjack's haven. It is becoming increasingly popular for hiking, biking, birding, wildflowers, fly fishing, other water sports. It was originally called Hazel Dell. Then the second name was Prairie City. Yeah, you think so, but you don't know. And then eventually, when the Southern Pacific Railroad came in 1912, an executive with the railroad decided to name it for the topography that surrounded them. So, we'll start this year's Classic in the old timber town, quickly becoming an outdoor recreation mecca. What's so funny? And considered by many to be the mountain bike capital of Oregon, we're starting in Oak Ridge. So let's get started. Day 1, take me to the bridge. So we will start this week on one of the sweetest pieces of road in Oregon. We will first head through Westford and pass the Office Bridge, which is the longest covered bridge in the state of Oregon, before rolling our wheels onto the spectacular Ofterheide Scenic Byway. It is the oldest national scenic byway in the Cascades. So this ribbon road through the forest is named after Robert Ofterheide, who was a national forest supervisor, who was was instrumental in shifting to multiple-use forest management principles. So similar to what Nils was talking about in the Wallowa Lakes moraine video, that shared use of the forest. So we'll follow the middle fork of the Willamette River past Constitutional Grove, which is a grove of over 200 old growth forest trees that were dedicated for the 200th anniversary of the Constitution. We will continue to climb to the top of the summit, and as we head for the historic Box Canyon Guard Station. From there, we'll roll down the other side, following the South Fork of the wild and scenic Mackenzie River, finally crossing that at the bottom. We'll ride past some steep rock ledges and past, or maybe not past, the clothing optional Cougar Hot Springs, alongside Cougar Reservoir. All right, finally rolling over the Belknap covered bridge into Rainbow, where we'll spend the night in the timber-surrounded Tokatee Golf Course. So, day one, take me to the bridge. Let's take a look. Just a gradual start to your week. So, 65 miles, about 3,300 feet of elevation. Not too bad. All right, day two. You still with me? Day two. Sisterly love. All right, we're never going to get through this with all this heckling. All right, we'll cruise out of Rainbow and warm up our legs before we set our sights upward. So up the spectacular old Mackenzie Highway, which is the now Mackenzie Pass Scenic Bike Way, your first Scenic Bike Way of the week. Laced with switchbacks, you'll be able to look down and see if your buddies are gaining on you. All right? So you can throw your water bottle down, slow them up. All right? So this gradual climb is one of the most picturesque byways in Oregon. And for all your effort, you're rewarded with views of the Three Sisters at the top. All right? Beautiful. You can take the optional walk up to the top of the Joyride Observatory, where you can see a full panorama of all of the Cascades. So from there, it's just a few more yards up to the summit, and then it's 15 miles of downhill through the lava fields and ponderosa pines. We'll land on the flatlands outside of Sisters, where you will have to make a decision. For those of you that don't mind getting a little dirty, we have a little gravel for you to ride. So you will leave town and crisscross through county roads and Forest Service roads on a backcountry shortcut. Those on the pavement will jump on to the Sisters to Smith Rock Scenic Bikeway and travel the back roads to where we all meet up, drop our feet in the Deschutes River beside Tumalo State Park. All right? So, day two, sisterly love. Let's take a look. Rainbow to Tumalo State Park. Just a little climb there to get you up, a gravel section in the middle. So 67 miles, about 4,800 feet of climbing. Gravel gives you a little bit more of that. All right, day three, Scenic Overload. So we'll start the day following our third Scenic Bikeway of the week, the Twin Bridges Scenic Bikeway. We will skirt the outskirts of Bend, fighting the temptation to stop at every microbrew and craft coffee roaster we can find. And then on to the Cascade Lakes Scenic Byway. From there, we'll head up to Mount Bachelor. But with a mountain in our sights, we'll turn away and take a 15-mile downhill towards the community of Sun River, and then roll 14 more flat miles out to our next overnight in the youngest city in Oregon, incorporated in 2006, La Pine. That's lots of excitement on this side. All right. So, day three, Scenic Overload, Scenic Bikeways, Scenic Vistas. It's a Scenic Overload. See? An up and a down. So really, half the day so far are all downhill. I mean, if you're thinking about all this, right? Okay, day four, going the distance. So today we have some ground to cover. We will head west out of La Pine, crossing the beautiful mighty Deschutes, which we slept outside a couple nights before. We will shoulder beautiful Davis Lake, which was created centuries ago when a lava flow blocked Odell Creek there. We'll rejoin the Cascade Lakes Highway that we were on the day before, so we kind of got on it, came off, we'll come back. And then eventually we'll make a run through Chemult before turning on to the volcanic Legacy Scenic Byway. So I think we've been on like 12 scenic byways or bikeways in these 4 days. So when we turn on to that byway is the first climb and only climb of the day. It is on one of the straightest roads in Oregon. So you can see what you think is the summit for quite a while you're in the saddle. It's not very steep though, so you'll be all right. After we summit, it's a 4-mile downhill to our lake site overnight at Diamond Lake. Beautiful. All right, let's check out what day 4 looks like. La Pine to Diamond Lake. See, nothing's happening in the beginning of the day. Nothing. And then just right at the end, just a little hiccup. So 94 miles, only 39 feet of climbing. See, mostly flat that day. All right, day 5, blue waters run deep. So today is layover day. We love layover day. So you have options. One option, you can stay in camp, go swim in the lake, go to the lodge and have pizza. 2, you can ride your bike around the 11-mile loop on the lake, taking in views of the meadows and creeks below Mount Thielsen. It's beautiful. Or 3, you can head for Oregon's only national park. So it is a short 13-mile, though uphill climb to the rim of Crater Lake. So from there, you can soak in the views, have a little lunch, and head back down to the lake for some swimming, or you can take your bucket list ride and ride the whole rim, right? So you'll be able to marvel in the deepest lake in North America as you go up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. So I think the only flat place on the rim is where we're eating lunch. After that, head back down to Diamond Lake and celebrate conquering the crater. It is an awesome, awesome day. So let's take a look at the route. Diamond Lake to Crater Lake and back, a little 13-mile climb, and then it's kind of like the EKG, just for a little bit. And then you don't flatline, though. You notice you don't flatline. So you'll be okay. And of course, you'll be wanting to sport one of these awesome jerseys from this year's Classic Ride. Pretty cool. All right, day 6, descent into radness. Now, what do you think qualifies as radness? How about 40 miles of downhill? Right? I mean, you busted all day yesterday, we might as well give you some downhill. So we will ride alongside the wild and scenic Umpqua River on the National Scenic Bike Way, byway, serenaded by waterfalls along the way. At the end of the descent, we will cross Steamboat Creek and then head for the hills. We have a little bit of climbing to do. So, gradual at first, you can soak up the splendor of this narrow Forest Service road. Accompanied by small creeks and waterfalls, this 13-miler picks up a little steam towards the summit. But as you tip over, it's a short downhill to meet up with the Roe River Trail, which is a converted rail to trail and part of the Covered Bridges Scenic Bike Way. So this rail was initially built to haul what they were going to plan on hauling was gold and silver, but eventually it became timber, and then it was abandoned in 1990. And for you, all you products of the 80s, the movie Stand By Me, where the dead body and the railway, that was on the Roe River Railway. So it's been cleaned up since the movie, but you'll be fine. So the last 10 miles of this trail lead us to our campsite on the banks of the Roe River below Dorena Lake at Schwarz Park. So day 6, descent into radness. Let's check out the 40 miles of downhill. There's probably more than that, actually, because you get more downhill later. 90 miles, but like 60 of it's downhill. Just don't bomb and power through downhill because you think it's awesome, because it's not so good climbing after you do that. I speak from experience. So, all right, one more day. Day 7, trails, timber, and triumphs. So we will about face this morning and head back out on the Roe River Trail, again past Arena Lake and through the neighboring countryside. We will stop by Wildwood Falls, known as one of the best swimming holes in Oregon. And then we're on to the Umpqua National Forest for the rest of the day. Now you'll have plenty of time to marvel in all the colors of green that surround you and think about that awesome week you've had, because we get to summit 3 times today. So at the top of the first summit, we'll regroup, recharge, have a little food, and get ready for the next 2. There are really 2 more small climbs to the final summit where you get to soak in the view of the Cascades that you just climbed up. It's 16 miles downhill after that before we finally roll back out to where it all began, and you change from your bibs to your party pants because we're going to celebrate. So this has been an epic week. So day 7, trails, timber, and triumphs. Dorena Lake to Oak Ridge. See, not much. We got just a little thing right there. You know, the scale on this is really hard to put on a screen. It really does. It's only 56 miles, so it's not that bad. All right, so that is your Cycle Oregon Classic 31. Oak Ridge, Rainbow, Tumalo, Lapine, Diamond Lake, Crater Lake, and Oak Ridge. So 428 miles to 485 miles, 24,000 feet to 31,000 feet on the crater. So that is your classic, a ride 7,700 years in the making. So our full slate for 2019 tonight: the classic, Joyride, and gravel. Now, you all have your card, so I'm going to start giving some stuff away, unless you don't want it. And we can just move on and do some stuff. All right, so the first thing, we're going to do 3 numbers, so make sure you have your card and your number. If you are the winning number, go downstairs to the Rider Services tent in the lobby, and they will set you up. So the first prize is a jersey of your choice from any of this year's events. And I have a random number generator. Can someone see that I'm not? Okay. All right, so here's the first number. 478. It might be downstairs. So if nobody claims this, we're going to give it away online. So, all right. So you can go down to, after the show, go down and claim that. All right. The next thing we're going to give away is a Yakima trunk rack, so you can bring your bike to start training tomorrow. Right? All right. That number is 158. Oh, tough crowd. Okay. No excitement in the back corner. All right. The last prize we're going to do for tonight is free tent and porter on the Classic. And if nobody wants that, we'll just skip that last prize. Okay, here we go. 102. Wow. Well, we'll see if that's downstairs. So if not, we're going to give it away later. Oh, sure. We can do that. So we have one more raffle. So we have 3 of these. Okay, those of you that did the raffle for the quilts. So we will pull those real quick. So for the rim ride, do I read the name? Read the name. All right. Kendall Kick. All right. Kendall, you were at the rim ride. Awesome. So go for gold. Free stuff is great, isn't it? Linda Murish. Linda Murish, is that right? You see a hand. All right. Go for gold. And then Hell on Wheels.
She may not have heard, Beth buys the fabric on the ride.
Fabric is bought on the ride, and she makes the quilts from the fabric that she bought in the communities. All right, the last one is Pat Wolfram? Pat Wolfram? Yay, Pat? Somebody said yay, Pat. All right, awesome, thank you very much. So, registration. The first 500 in the door have a card, so that gets you early registration at 9 o'clock. Now, one of those cards, as I said, when you log in, you will know if you're going on the Classic for free or not, okay? So that's the one golden ticket. We also have a streaming gold ticket for those of you at home. So right now there is a question on your screen and an email on your screen. The first person to answer that question correctly and send it to the email goes for free. Now do this now, don't wait till 9 because you won't be the first person. Okay? So that's only for those folks at home. That question may already be gone. So the question on the screen, answer it. So tomorrow, open registration at noon for all the events. I want to thank you guys for coming. We are so pumped for this year. Let's be safe out there, and we'll see you on the rides.